And our third main topic today gets submitted to us by Mason, who writes, "Hey, John and crew. I've recently read an article saying that Sony and Tom Holland are rumored to be in talks for Spider-Man to have a cameo in Venom 2. With how they changed Venom's origin in the first film, how do you see Sony introducing Spider-Man/Peter into the Venomverse if rumors end up being true?" All right, thanks a lot for sending in that question, Mason. And what Mason's basically talking about is there are a lot of rumors and reports going around saying that Tom Holland is in talks and secretly in talks to maybe appear in Venom 2. Now, one of the roots of where that would be coming from, in case some people are saying, where on earth does that come from? Well, if you go all the way back to when Sony and Marvel kind of they kissed and made up and got back together again. Kevin Feige at one point made the following comments. And Kevin Feige said this. Now, this is going back a bit, but he said, "Spider-Man is a powerful icon and hero whose story crosses all ages and audiences around the globe. He also happens to be the only hero with the superpower to cross cinematic universes. So as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what surprises the future might hold." Now, to a lot of people who would say, "Oh my God, a ridiculous rumor about Tom Holland coming in this thing," you got to understand that I believe that this statement from Kevin Feige legitimately opens a lot of doors about what could be done with Spider-Man even right now while Marvel is producing some Spider-Man films. Now, there are a lot of people like myself that believe that the next two Spider-Man films are going to be produced by Sony or by Marvel under the ownership of Sony. Are going to be the final two films. And I believe that right now. I still believe there's a possibility that they could extend their deal more later on and we'll continue to see Sony and Marvel working together. I would personally like that very much. I think the collaboration between Sony and Marvel on these Spider-Man movies have been wonderful. I would personally love to see those continue. But I kind of believe that the tea leaves are pointing to that these next two films will be the final ones. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We'll find out in the next couple of years. That being said, I do believe that these comments by Kevin Feige open a lot of doors, Rob, to what could be possible. But here's the big problem I have with this notion that right now Tom Holland's in talks, Rob. Tom Holland's in talks to be in these things. Here's the reason I doubt that severely. If I'm not mistaken, and correct me if I'm wrong, they started shooting Venom in November. That means their script is done, locked, and they're shooting the movie now. They're not at a point right now in this movie where they're saying, maybe we'll throw in Spider-Man. That time was months ago. That time to have those thoughts and discussions was probably June or July. With them already shooting and well into production, that means they got their script, it's locked, they're moving forward, all that kind of stuff. So there's no point in having discussions with Tom Holland about popping up in that movie. Plus, if I'm not mistaken, they wouldn't need to have a discussion with Tom Holland. They've got Tom Holland under contract. They can probably just tell Holland to be in there. So could he appear though, Rob? Yeah, he could. But John, you just said it's too late to make that decision. But they may have made the decision to have Tom Holland pop up as Spider-Man months ago. I'm not saying they did, but I'm saying that is a possibility that's on this table. It's also very possible they didn't. The only thing that I do not believe is legitimate is the notion that right now they're trying to figure out if they're going to have Tom Holland in this movie. No. They already know if Tom Holland is or isn't going to pop up in this movie in a role, as a cameo, or not at all. My point is, I think that's already been decided a long time ago. It would have had to have been. But I'm not going to sit here, Rob, and say that it's 100% false that Tom Holland could appear in this movie one way or the other. No. I think it's possible. Given, once again, what Kevin Feige said, it does open the door to that possibility. That is possible. I only just don't think it's possible that they're just considering it at this point. I think the decision's made, and maybe it is to have him in there. Now, Rob, I would guess, and I'm only guessing, my guess is that we're not going to see Tom Holland in Venom 2. That's my guess, but I wouldn't put any money on that because I do believe it's at least possible that we could, especially even just in a cameo role. Rob, let me ask you this. Given the conversations and given the comments given by Kevin Feige and all that kind of stuff, do you think it's possible Tom Holland could pop up in this movie And do you believe the report that maybe they're still just trying to figure it out, or do you believe it's something that would have been decided already?
Well, to quote James T. Kirk, quoting Mr. Spock, there are always possibilities, John. Always possibilities. But I think, look, everybody knows, including the top brass at Sony, that people want to see Spider-Man and Venom share frames together. This is not something that has been lost on anyone when they started making. How many conversations do you think they had when they were making the first Venom? Wouldn't it be cool if we had a Spider-Man cameo? But at the time, the situation with Spider-Man was different.
Well, and also keep in mind, there were tons of reports that Tom Holland's Spider-Man were going to show up in Venom. Obviously, those turned out to be BS. But, I mean, there was a lot of talk about that at the time, too.
I think, look, we had Ben Affleck show up in Suicide Squad. I would be willing to bet. I think it's probably a good bet. I would say over under 30% that Spider-Man will appear in Venom 2. I think it's over 30%. I do, because why wouldn't he? You know, they have a new alliance with Marvel. They're going to get to make 2 more movies in the MCU with Spider-Man. And I think Sony wants to do everything they can to make sure that Venom 2 is a monster hit. Carnage and Venom already at piques my interest, but having, whether it's a post-credit scene, whether it's a scene with Peter Parker or something, I think that would be kind of neat, you know, and they know it too. And if they could make it happen, I think they will make it happen. I think it's in their interest to make it happen. But like you said, who knows what contract negotiations are going on? Maybe Tom Holland's schedule didn't allow him. You know, he's now in a new movie where he's actually playing some heroin addict in a film produced by the Russo brothers. I mean, he's doing that. Maybe I don't think Tom Holland, if he got a phone call saying, "Hey man, could you do a day or two on the Venom 2 set?" I don't think Tom Holland's the kind of guy that would be like, "No, man, I can't do that." Knowing and seeing him, he'd be like, "Heck yeah, I'll be there." He'd be the most enthusiastic person in the world to do it. Of course, he wouldn't shut up about it, so there'd probably be pictures of him. He'd probably put a selfie up there with Tom Hardy, going, "Hey, it's the Tom H's
it's
together
the Tom
here.
and Tom show." I'll say this: I think 30% is a little high, but I'm not far off from you. I'm going to put the line at 25, which is still that's a legitimate chance it could happen. I mean, I don't think it's likely, but I think there's a legitimate chance. I'll go as high as 25%. But listen, guys, I also wanted to know what you thought the chances were. So we made that the topic of today's question of the day. And Rob, our question of the day was, amidst all the speculation, do you think Tom Holland will be in Venom 2? And here's what you guys are saying. As of right now, I put this up just before the show started. Over 3,000 of you guys have voted already. 28% of you are saying no, he won't be in it. 12.6% of you are saying yes, he's part of the film. And a full 59.5% of you are saying he very well could be as a quick cameo. So at least 71%, 72% of you guys are saying, believe that he will pop up to one degree or another in a certain big or certain tiny role. But 72% of you guys are thinking that he's at least going to appear in this film. I found that fascinating. I thought that no, he won't be in it at all would be closer to the 50 or 60% mark. But you guys, again, once you're saying he's a significant part of the film, 12.6% of you, maybe a quick cameo, 59.9% of you are saying that, and just no, flat out, he will not be in the film, which I kind of lean towards, but I think the other two are possible, are 28% of you guys are saying that. I'm going to leave that poll up for the rest of the day, guys, so jump on over there. That's on my Twitter account. You can go over there and cast a vote for there. And, of course, jump down into the comments section, guys, and let us know what you guys think of that. All right.